I was supposed to be home for Christmas. That was the deal. Like every year. Same house. Same street. Same cheap blinking star on the porch that flickered like it was giving up hope. I pulled up, the tires crunching softly over snow. The kind of cold that seeps through your coat no matter how many layers you wear. But it wasn't the cold that gave me chills. It was the silence. This was my parents' house. The one I helped save from foreclosure. The one I'd poured $8,500 into so they wouldn't lose it last year. But that night, as I turned the key and stepped inside, it felt like I'd broken into someone else's life. There was no laughter. No scent of cinnamon, burnt cookies, or pine. Just a plastic tree in the corner trying to look festive and a blinking star that might as well have been mocking me. I heard a faint clinking noise, like a fork against porcelain. I followed it, cautiously. "Hello?" I called out. "In here, sweetheart," came a voice. Soft. Tired. Too tired. I rounded the corner and found her, Grandma. Sitting alone in the dim light, wearing her knitted purple sweater, the one with the snag on the sleeve. A plate of cold ham and stuffing sat in front of her. Untouched. I blinked. "Where is everyone?" She didn't answer at first. Just gave a sad, fragile smile and slid a folded note across the table. Her hands trembled as she did. I opened it. Just a torn piece of notebook paper. No envelope. My name written in all caps like they didn't even care anymore. Spent your $8,500 loan on a family cruise. Sorry. Take care of Grandma while we're gone. Love, Mom. That money. It wasn't a gift. It was supposed to pay for dental surgery I'd been postponing for over a year. I'd saved every cent driving Uber. Skipping meals. Freelancing until my back hurt. Gone. Like it meant nothing. They left yesterday, Grandma said softly. Didn't want to ruin your surprise. She smiled, bitterly. I guess they didn't think you'd mind. I sat down hard. The seat was cold, like everything else in that house. No call? No warning? I asked. They only call when they want something, she said, sipping a glass of watered-down orange juice. Her voice held no anger. Just resignation. Like she'd stopped expecting more years ago. That night, Grandma went to bed early. She kissed me on the cheek and whispered, "You always were the only one who stayed kind." Then she limped down the hall, hips still aching from that fall 2 winters ago. The one no one took her to rehab for. I stayed in the living room. No lights. No music. Just me and the note. And the tree blinking like it was trying to say sorry. I stared at the numbers in my bank app. $8,500. Hours of driving. Late nights. Missed birthdays. Working Christmas Eve because we're counting on you. And all for what? For them to leave me behind like I was some handyman babysitter. I opened our family group chat. Dead silent. Not even a Merry Christmas. Mom's voice echoed in my memory. It's just a short-term loan. We'll pay you back by February, promise. You can reschedule your dental thing. I nodded. Like I always did. When they needed money for Jacob's school fees? I nodded. When Dad's gambling debt spiraled? I nodded. When Emily got evicted because she quit her job after one bad review? I nodded. Because if I didn't, I was the selfish one. Ungrateful. Disrespectful. Not a real son. They kicked me out when I was 17. All because I refused to lie for Jacob when he stole Grandma's medication. They said I was making things up. Called me dramatic. Didn't show up to my college graduation. Too busy helping Emily move into her boyfriend's place. Forgot my birthday 3 years in a row. But when they needed cash? Oh, then I was family again. By morning, I started digging. It wasn't hard. One search on social media, and I found them. Laughing on the deck of the majestic Aurora. Champagne in hand. Bathrobes. Sun-kissed skin. The caption? Finally, some peace away from all the leeches and negativity. Emily posted it. Probably forgot to block me. Leeches. They used my money. Left Grandma eating cold ham. And I was the leech? That's when the last wire inside me snapped. Not with anger. With purpose. That night, Grandma found me in the garage. Dust clung to the air. I was hunched over Dad's old filing cabinet, surrounded by piles of old bills, insurance papers, and pay stubs. She didn't ask what I was doing. Just pulled up a chair and said, "Let's start with 2016. That's when your mom took my pension login. We stayed up all night. We built spreadsheets. Every gas station ATM withdrawal from her account. Every Venmo request Emily made. Every gift card charged to Grandma's pension. Each transfer added a brick to the case we were building. Then we found the emails. Mom writing to Emily. He won't notice the cruise deposit. He trusts us too much. Emily replying. He's soft. And who leaves Grandma alone on Christmas anyway? I clenched my jaw so hard my teeth hurt, ironic, given what that money was supposed to fix. We organized everything. Dated. Backed up. Cross-referenced. And waited. They pulled into the driveway like royalty. Emily exited first, sunglasses perched, dragging a $700 suitcase behind her. Ugh, I am so done with shrimp buffets. Mom walked in with designer bags. She looked around. Did you even clean up? Dad followed. Bloated, sunburnt. He looked at me and muttered, "Still here?" Jacob was last. Didn't say a word to Grandma. Just dumped his duffel and collapsed onto the couch like it was his throne. I didn't speak. I just stood in the kitchen doorway, watching. Waiting. They barely settled before Mom asked, "Where's the food?" "In the fridge," I replied. "Still plenty of ham left." Jacob laughed. "Still on that?" he muttered. "Dude, just order takeout." I stepped forward. "Glad you're all here. Sit down. I've got something to show you." Jacob rolled his eyes. Dad cracked his knuckles. Emily was too busy looking for a phone charger. I turned the laptop screen toward them. And hit play. The spreadsheet appeared. Color-coded. Every transfer. Every dollar. Every withdrawal from Grandma's pension. Gas stations Dad always used. Sephora purchases labeled as emergencies, iTunes and Apple Pay charges from Emily. Mom stiffened. "Where'd you get this?" "Her bank," I said. "You should be more careful using someone else's password." Then came the screenshots. The email where Mom called me gullible. The one where Emily said, "He won't fight back. He never does." I could have stopped there. But I didn't. I hit play on one final audio file. Kelly. Jacob's wife. Sobbing. I didn't want to leave Grandma. I begged him. But Jacob said if you didn't give the money, they'd just leave her. He said it'd blow over. I stayed quiet, and I'm sorry. Jacob shot up. "You recorded my wife?" "No," I said calmly. "She asked me to. She's tired of watching you bleed people dry." Dad growled. "You little snake. Digging into our accounts like someone who's done being robbed." Then I opened one final tab. An email draft. Subject line, "Formal report of elder financial abuse, evidence attached." Recipients? Social Security Fraud Division. Grandma's lawyer. Local ombudsman. 2 news outlets. "You have 48 hours, I said. "Return every cent, or I press send." Grandma stood now. The room fell silent. "I raised 3 of you. Fed you. Changed you. Protected you. And when I couldn't walk, you left me with frozen beans and moldy pie while you sipped champagne on stolen money." She looked at each of them. One by one. Then sat. quiet, but unshakable. And I realized, this was just the beginning. For the first time in my life, I was in control. They didn't know how to handle it. Dad stormed out first, muttering something about disrespect and ungratefulness. Jacob followed, slamming his fist against the wall before disappearing into the basement. Emily stood frozen. She tried to hug Grandma, but Grandma turned away, arms crossed over her chest like a fortress. Mom stayed behind the longest. Still seated. Silent. "Why would you do this to us?" she finally whispered. I didn't blink. "You did this to yourselves. I'm just sending the invoice." The house was quiet again. But it wasn't the same kind of silence. This wasn't the silence of betrayal. This was the silence of resolve. I checked Grandma's vitals. Made us oatmeal. Refilled her meds. Held her hand while she slept. She didn't say much, but every time I passed her chair, she'd squeeze my hand. Just a little. That night, I backed everything up. 3 hard drives. 1 cloud. 2 USBs. I wasn't taking chances. They thought I was bluffing. But bluffing doesn't come with spreadsheets and subpoenas. By noon, no money had been returned. Not a single message. Not a knock at the door. So I hit send. 2. Office of Social Security Administration. Elder Financial Exploitation Division. Ombudsman's Office. Grandma's attorney, Miss Hadley. 2 local journalists I found through LinkedIn. And a Reddit whistleblower thread, just for good measure. Everything attached. Screenshots. Audio. Video. Dates. Dollar amounts. And I added 1 line at the bottom of the email. My family may not care about her. But I do. And I'm not afraid to prove it. 6:13 p.m. Subject, case open, SSA 2023 XXXX. The government was on it. And so was the internet. I didn't plan for the article to go viral. But it did. Family abandons disabled grandma for cruise vacation, grandson fights back with evidence. 42,000 shares in 24 hours. Reddit blew up. TikTok got a hold of it. Someone even made a dramatic reenactment with sock puppets. And just like that, they were exposed. Jacob was the first to break. 12 missed calls. Then the texts started. "Yo man, we didn't mean it like that. Are you really gonna ruin your own family over some dumb cash? We were gonna pay you back, just needed time." Then came the threats. "You better pray you don't need us again. You're cut off. Don't come crying later." I forwarded every message to Natalie, our lawyer. She replied with a smile emoji. Natalie wasn't just good. She was surgical. By 9 a.m. the next morning, she'd issued formal intent to sue letters to every adult involved. Mom. Dad. Jacob. Emily. The charges? Elder financial abuse. Unauthorized access to pension accounts. Fraud. Misappropriation of funds. Total damages calculated? $14,322.85. Including interest. She added a grace period of 7 days. Then garnishment would begin. I didn't have to scream anymore. The system was screaming for me. 2 nights later, the doorbell rang. I opened it and there stood Mom. No makeup. Her hair thrown up in a rushed bun. Eyes bloodshot. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Only if you brought a checkbook." She didn't laugh. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. Inside was a cashier's check. $8,500. My loan. No interest? I asked, flipping it in my hand. "You're lucky you're even getting this," she snapped. "You're destroying your own mother." "No," I replied, stepping onto the porch, "I'm finally turning my back on a thief." And I shut the door. Emily called me the next morning. From her work phone. She was crying. "I'm getting fired," she said, barely able to breathe between sobs. The articles everywhere. My boss saw it. My name is in the screenshots. My Sephora charges. I waited. You have any idea what you've done? Yeah, I said. Return the favor. I gave her the breakdown. $3,100. With interest. Due in 14 days. She paid in 4 installments. Each time, I made her send screenshots of the transaction. Each one verified and logged. No shortcuts. A day later, Kelly, Jacob's wife, called me. I didn't expect it. She sounded different. Stronger. I'm leaving him, she said. I filed for separation. I'm not letting my kids grow up in that toxicity. I should have left years ago. I just didn't think I had options. You do, I said. I want to do it right, she whispered. No strings. But if there's help. There is, I said. And there was. I found her a place. Quiet. Safe. Close to her work. Paid 2 months' rent anonymously. She never asked for more. And that's why I did it. Jacob came last. He pretended to be untouchable. Posted memes about family betrayal and toxic siblings. Even used a Succession soundbite on Instagram, like he was some fallen heir. Then Kelly left. Took the kids. Changed her number. Blocked him on everything. That's when Jacob unraveled. He showed up at my door. Unshaven. Red-eyed. Hollow. You fool, he growled. You ruined everything. No, I said, handing him a letter from Natalie. You did. It was a wage garnishment notice. He tore it in half and threw it at me. I didn't flinch. You have a week, I said. Or your accounts freeze. He paid. Eventually. $2,700. Borrowed from his boss. The humiliation was priceless. By the end of the second week, all the money was returned. $8,500 from Mom and Dad. $3,100 from Emily. $2,700 from Jacob. Total, $14,300 in change. I used $3,000 to finally get my dental surgery. Another $2,000 bought Grandma a recliner with a lift mechanism. And a part-time home nurse. The rest? I locked it in an interest-bearing account. In Grandma's name. Only she and I have access. When I showed her the paperwork, she cried. And I cried, too. They took everything from me, she whispered. But they didn't take you. They stopped calling. Stopped texting. And you know what? For the first time, silence felt good. Not that heavy, guilty silence you carry like a backpack. This was surgical. Precise. The kind of silence that comes after infection is removed. Clean. Final. Grandma started sleeping through the night again. And I started dreaming again. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living. The days after felt lighter. I wasn't waiting for the next insult. The next guilt trip. The next phone call asking for more. It was quiet. But not empty. It was the kind of quiet where you can finally hear yourself think. Every morning, I made Grandma breakfast. Oatmeal with too much brown sugar. Her favorite. She'd hum while watching the birds outside. She hadn't hummed in years. That house used to echo with tension. Now it just smelled like coffee and cinnamon. It felt like a home. For the first time in a long time. I quit my job. The one that drained me, chewed up weekends, holidays, and left me sleep-deprived. Took a remote contract instead. Higher pay. Fewer hours. I had time to breathe. Time to walk. Time to read. Time to be something more than the family doormat. Grandma started knitting again. I started writing again. We were both finding pieces of ourselves we thought we'd lost. And for the first time since I was 17. I didn't feel small anymore. One evening, Grandma knocked on my door. She never did that. Always just wandered in and asked if I wanted more soup. But this time, she knocked. She came in slowly and sat on the edge of my bed. "I have a question," she said, twisting her fingers together. "When you saw that note, the one they left." "Yeah? Why didn't you just leave?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. Then I said, "Because I remembered who I was. Before they made me forget." She smiled. Nodded. And whispered, "I'm proud of you, sweetheart." That broke me more than any insult ever could. Because she meant it. And no one else ever had. I remembered all the times I kept my mouth shut. The time they told me I was too sensitive when I cried after Jacob punched me in the stomach. The time Mom said, "You're just jealous," when I asked why Emily got a car for graduation and I got a grocery store cake. The time Dad told me, "Real men don't whine," when I asked if someone could come to my school play. I used to think maybe I was the problem. That maybe I just wasn't lovable enough. Turns out, I was just the only one they couldn't control. A few weeks later, I was at the store with Grandma, pushing a cart full of soup cans and ginger ale when a woman approached us. She was older. Well-dressed. Kind eyes. "Excuse me," she said. I looked up. Ready for judgment. "Are you the one from the article?" she asked. I tensed. "The one who stood up for his grandmother?" "Yeah," I said, quietly. She looked at Grandma. Then back at me. "I just wanted to say thank you. My mother, they did the same to her. But no one fought for her." She touched my arm. Brief. Gentle. Then she walked away. I turned to Grandma. She was frozen. One hand on a can of tomato soup. Tears welling. "I didn't think anyone saw us," she whispered. "They do now," I said. Of course, they didn't stay quiet. They never do. Emily posted a photo of herself lighting a candle in church. Captioned, "Some people don't know what forgiveness is. I do." Comments were brutal. "Didn't you steal pension money? Is that candle for Grandma or your dignity?" Mom told relatives I had manipulated Grandma. Left out the part where she used Grandma's pension to pay off a tummy tuck in 2021. Jacob? He went full delusional. Posted a reel with sad music, typing out "Toxic siblings will tear you down to build themselves up." He used a slow-mo shot of himself walking on a beach. The caption? "Some people would rather see you fall than rise with you." I laughed for 10 minutes straight. Rise with you? You tried to bury me alive and dance in the dirt. We moved. Not far. Just to a modest 2-bedroom apartment near the library. Grandma decorated her room with old photos, crossword books, and a blanket she crocheted back in '93. She called it the fort. She'd sit in her recliner like a queen and say, "Let them talk. Let 'em lie. I got soup and peace. Let's see who wins in the end." She was right. Because peace? That's the one thing they never stole. I ran into Kelly outside a coffee shop. She looked different. Not like she escaped something. Like she was rebuilding. She told me she was taking night classes. Getting certified in healthcare. Her own apartment. Her own life. "I didn't know I could live like this," she said. "Without being scared." She looked at me. "You changed more than just your life, you know." I didn't know what to say. But for the first time, maybe I believed it. They tried to rebuild their image. Mom started a YouTube channel, Cozy Kitchen with Carla. She lasted 2 episodes before someone commented, "Did you pay for that oven with stolen retirement money?" Channel deleted. Jacob applied for a job at a tech startup. Didn't pass the background check. Apparently garnishment flags scare HR departments. Oops. Emily reappeared on Instagram under a new name at m_life_reset. Inspirational quotes. Yoga pics. Cutting out toxic people. Hilarious. I didn't cut her out. I exiled her. Months passed. I filled our new home with furniture I liked. Secondhand, yes, but chosen by me. Nothing they picked. Nothing they stained. And I slept, for the first time in years, with all the lights off. Not afraid of what they'd take next. Because they already took everything. And I took it back.